Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Photographer's Favorites, where me and another photographer pick 5 of our favorite photos from other photographers and talk about everything we love about them. Today, I'm really happy to have Jamin Taylor with me. How's it going, Jamin?
Really good, really good.
Yeah, happy to have you here, man. How's things in your
Thanks.
neck of the woods?
Oh, cold.
Yeah.
The heart of winter. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Have you
good.
been getting out at all?
Not a lot. Actually, January's been really, really slow for me. I've
Yeah.
gotten out a few times and gotten some cool things the few times that I've been out, but yeah, been kind of slow.
Nice. All right, cool. And just for everyone listening, if they're not familiar with you, which I think most of them are, but what area are you from? Where are you shooting out of?
Mostly South Central Alaska, around the Anchorage area. I live just north of Anchorage, so and
Gotcha.
then my travels takes me, all around. So,
Yeah, yeah. And I can't wait to be up there in June, man. I'm excited for that.
oh man, it's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. So, anyway, yeah, definitely check out Jamin's photography, his Instagram here. Just as you can see right here, as I'm showing you guys, just incredible stuff, dude. This bear photo is incredible. And Wimbrel, is this like spring?
That's Denali Highway,
Yeah.
spring. Yeah, June.
Alrighty, alrighty.
So
All right. So
yeah.
now I have some expectations.
Yeah,
Nice. That's gorgeous, man. Wow.
pretty thanks. Pretty magical place. So
Yeah, yeah. What an amazing bird too. Such a neat looking bird. All
and
right,
it's cool
with
to
that,
see them on the tundra.
yeah, yeah, it's got to be.
Really
I've
neat.
only ever seen them on the beach and in the marsh, so to be able to see them where they breed like that, that's going to
Oh
be,
yeah.
yeah, it's going to be something special. So, yeah, I'm pumped. All right, you ready to get into the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. We're going to start with one of the first photos you picked. Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is just mind blowing with all his photography.
I know. I
Um,
had a really hard time picking one, and there was several I was like, oh, just drooling over, and
yeah, I feel like you
finally
could close your eyes and just point, and one of them
I
is going to be
know
amazing.
pretty much. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I took some notes so I could just kind of go over some of the things that I like about this. But yeah, I think Michael Dutremont is
yeah,
his name.
yep,
And yeah, man, I like the hint that the animal's head is just kind of there.
yeah,
You just get that hint of it, but the focus is really on the antlers. Brings it into focus, but you kind of get this just hint that he's there. It's like in all that snow and just the white open space and
that
everything is
fade in is so nice.
yeah. Yeah, just really captivating. It just kind of lets your imagination run wild. You're kind of immediately taken into this like snowstorm kind of thing where this animal's just hunkered down and you know,
Yeah,
really cool.
definitely. Yeah, it's to me too, it's interesting in that I feel like, I've seen snow scenes like this where you use the foreground snow. I know you've even taken some like that where you use the foreground snow for some, obstruction to get a kind of blur into the subject.
Yeah.
But what he did here, I think, is a little bit different and unique and makes this photo stand out, which is what you touched on. He kind of used some of that foreground snow to really fade in the animal's head as well. I feel like so many photographers, and myself included, probably would have let the fade maybe happen down here where you would see
Yeah.
the animal's head a little bit more clear. But, the fact that he kind of has some of that foreground over the head really draws your antlers or your antlers. It draws your attention into the antlers,
Yeah.
and that to me it makes it like more of a graphical image in that regard, because like this is the most clear visual contrast area, and almost like the central focal point of the image, and I think that's a different take, and it's done like perfectly in this image. So yeah,
Yeah, totally agree. What
yeah,
an image.
incredible. Yeah. All right, here's the next one. What do you think of that one?
Well, I love bird breath as much as you do. So,
Yeah, yeah,
especially when you get, sometimes like you'll get a hint of it and it'll be
yep,
kind of blurry or out of focus. But when you nail the the breath in focus and you
yeah,
see like the particles,
exactly. Isn't that
it's
amazing?
like,
Yeah,
wow. And this one definitely has it. Super
it does.
cool.
Yeah, it does. And that's a
Yeah.
great point you brought up, and it's something that obviously is a little hard to see in Instagram. You can kind of see it here, but when you're
Yep.
viewing that on a big screen and you zoom in and you see the individual little particles of, the breath, like that condensation in the
Oh,
air,
yeah.
that's just, yeah, it's mind blowing.
It's almost like they're having a conversation here. Like,
Yeah, it is. It really is. And in fact, did you see his caption? A heated conversation between two black grouse.
oh, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
again, he worked with the foreground, and you've
Yeah.
kind of got some like golden bouquet there in the foreground, and
Yep.
in the rim lighting. Yeah, what a great selection.
Yeah, and I love when lens flare is used like this. It's not too
Mhm.
much, but there is some there. You can see a little flare here, and then with the foreground, it's kind of a bright area there. And I just love that look that almost makes you, as the viewer, kind of squint when you're looking at it because it's like you're almost staring into the sun yourself. To me, that just is such a good way to kind of place the viewer really in the photo there. And yeah, that low perspective just puts you right there with the grouse. And like the fact that they're both perfectly on that focal plane too. This looks like it was shot, with a really low aperture. I mean, I see the lens, he has a hashtag there, 400-2.8. I don't know if it was shot at 2.8, but it's
Yeah,
got some really shallow depth of field, but they're both in that focal plane there, and sharp, just incredible to have that things line up like that is amazing.
yeah. You can tell he put a lot of thought and care into making this. When it happened in front of him, like he was ready.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and a lot of his photography, just like the previous photographer, just incredible creative stuff like that. So, all right, on to the next one. Oh, switching it up a little bit, going reptilian.
Yeah.
Reptilian, nice. Man,
Yep.
how cool is it to see the head peeking and then the rest of the body is just the shadow of it?
Oh yeah, that's totally what got me. I mean, this is
Yeah.
just and Amy says hi, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Uh, but yeah, I really loved what she made here. You get this hint, this silhouette behind the leaf with that lighting, and then just that
Yep.
peak of the head coming up. And the composition on this is perfect.
Yeah.
With the lines and everything of the leaves above and everything, those lines don't take away from anything. They just add to uh, the overall sense you get of this, of like this little creature hiding in the leaves, and he's just poking out. And the coolest thing to me is, well, there's two things. One is how the eye is looking at her, at
Yeah.
the photographer. Like you can see it's pointed down a little bit,
Yep.
and then also the back toes are hanging like right
Hanging
over
over.
the edge
Yep.
of the leaf. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
It's a nice subtle detail. Yeah, this image is all about lines. Lines
Yep.
of the I don't even know yeah, the anal or anal. How do you even pronounce that?
I
Anal?
don't I don't
Anole?
know.
I don't know. Yeah.
No,
Um,
maybe.
the lines of it are really nice. I love how the curve of the tail kind of starts matching like some of the curves we see up here from the leaves, and yeah, all the lines kind of going in the same direction. Even the shadow of the leaf, other leaf down here, still kind of pointing up and angling this way. And then if we really dig in, the texture of the lines of the leaf itself are just
Yep.
additional, like nice smooth curved lines. Like there's no hard kind of squared off edges anywhere. Everything is kind of curvy and coming down to a point, and just yeah, just
Really
visually just
organic
beautiful.
feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely love that. And that lighting with the peak is just the best.
Oh,
It really is.
so good.
I've seen plenty of shots where you get just the whole creature, whatever it may be, silhouetted, a frog or a lizard or something on the
Yep.
leaf. And those are really cool. But this is a neat combo of both to see, a direct view to the head and the shadow as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. Nice.
Nicely done, Amy. Ooh, hey.
Yeah. This one takes a while.
Yeah, my first reactions is like immediately I'm drawn to what is that, an oyster catcher
It is. Yep.
amongst a bunch of sandpipers or something?
Red knots. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I
Wow,
don't know if
that's
they're red knots, but knots. Yeah.
something, yeah. But your eye is immediately drawn there, but
How
then it doesn't
crazy.
stop there. Like you see that, and then your eye starts wandering around, looking at all the head shapes, looking at
Yeah.
like there's so
It's
many birds in there,
incredible.
and you can see all of their little heads and everything. And it's so cool. Some of them are turned like one way, and some of them are turned the other way, but they all seem to, yeah, the overall composition all kinds of leads back to that oyster catcher.
Yep.
That's really cool. And that's
How
black and white, huh?
No, there's color in
No?
there.
Okay. There's
Yeah,
oh,
there's orange on the bill, I see at least. So, and it looks like the rest of them are just non-breeding plumage. So I think they're just kind of in
huh.
like a grayish brownish phase. So I think based on what I'm seeing, it's just like that's how it looked.
Yeah.
but not 100%. I don't know if he did some desaturation on the outside as well, but yeah, it's
Crazy.
incredible. I love the sort of waves that almost appear in the birds. You
Yep.
know, it
I
almost
was
looks
noticing
like
that.
a straight up sea of birds. You know, and I think when you zoom out on it, like if you go smaller with it and just take it in at first, like, you can't even
Yeah.
almost tell that they're birds to begin with. You know, uh, so
Yeah, but you can really see the waves a lot more when you zoom out. Like you can
correct.
tell just kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that undulation back there. And then
Yep.
like the odds of one larger and dark bird to walk into that are just like come on, you know? Like that's putting your time in, being out there, being ready and seeing something like that. And you know, as many people I'm sure know, I'm a fan of small in frame, and this is a
Yeah.
perfect example of that. You know, they're all small in frame, but the main subject, that oyster catcher, is really tiny in this image, yet your
Yep.
eyes just boom right to it.
Yeah. And one thing, like, it might be common to kind of see this bird and be like, "Ooh, I want to focus in on this bird and get tighter in."
Yeah,
But kudos to the photographer for taking the time to step back and do a much larger scene of this, where the animal, where that bird is smaller in the frame. I think had a tendency to zoom in closer uh, to the oyster catcher, it wouldn't have worked like this.
correct. Yeah, I very much agree. And an interesting use of more depth of field in an image. You know,
Yeah.
you go really long lens, really close or closer, and then we're getting into like those foreground birds could, in theory, be so blurred you can barely tell what they are, and then it would just be like the oyster catcher and maybe some other birds on the same focal plane. Whereas when we
Yep.
look at this, I mean, basically like the flock from there to all the way up into here, all in focus, yet still again the subject stands out. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's incredible. Technically, creatively, it's just got a lot going on there for it.
Totally agree. Cool
Yeah.
shot.
Oh man, you
Oh
gotta
man.
love that wake line. Oh, that is so good.
Yep.
Such a simplistic, minimalist photo right here.
Yeah. I
And
love that kind
yeah,
of stuff.
yeah, me too, man. Yeah, it's something I'm striving to do a little bit more of. But it's man, it requires number one, it requires a great eye, but number two, conditions really got to work out just nicely. You know, any
Yep.
disturbance on the surface of this water, any ripples or wind like that, and this photo is no longer. You know, not
Right.
at all what it is right here. Just a crystal clear reflection and a perfect example of what we're just looking at, right? Small in frame, but yet there's a clear, obvious subject. The subject stands out like crazy. And,
Yeah.
I
It's
also
a
really like
rim
how,
lighting.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say rim lighting in all the right places. Like you've got it
Yeah.
at the tip of the bill,
Yep.
and then just around the head and brighter spot like right on the back there, the right after the neck. So
Yeah. Yeah. It almost looks like it might be like a young bird with kind of fuzzy, like downy feathers on the
that's what
back
I was
there.
thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not
Either a
sure, but
greek or a duck or something.
yeah, something like that. But I also love how there's actually a V in the wake there, and it's not just the
Yep.
single line. I mean, the single line is always nice too and clean, but there's something about how it's kind of just subtly like an arrow pointing into the
That's
bird.
exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. In my notes, I had written, that weight creates an arrow
Oh, nice.
right over. It's so cool. I'm glad that
I
you
swear we didn't share that.
yeah, it's so cool.
uh,
Low key done right can just be so compelling.
yeah, yeah, it really is. And it's funny, man. Like, this is a kind of shot where the camera by itself, if you just leave it on, if you're shooting auto ISO or even just paying attention to your meter and dialing it in neutral, this is an image the camera is gonna, in my opinion, overexpose. So it's gonna give you lots of detail on the subject, and who knows what was in that background.
Yeah.
That went black. There could have been a lot of distracting detail and stuff, and so having the wherewithal to kind of expose that down, no matter how you do it, whether you just manually dial the settings in or just negative exposure compensation to get things dark and just kind of turn it graphical, like this is a great vision in the photographer's eye.
Yeah. Having that vision, man, is so important, and seeing a scene and seeing the potential in a scene. That's a really it's something that you got to really develop, I mean, I think you have to have kind of an eye for it to start with, but you've really got to develop it as well.
Yeah, and part of that I think is a lot of experimentation and finding out what is possible given certain lighting scenarios. Like how many
Yeah.
times do you go out now and you might be presented with a scenario and you say, you know what, I've had this before and I came close to getting what I want, but now I know I want to go further, whether it be darker or lighter or just whatever it may be. But having that experience yourself in the past is for me what allows me to kind of inform what I'm doing right now when I'm shooting that moment.
Yeah, you're right. The experience teaches you.
Yeah. Yep. And that just doesn't unfortunately happen overnight.
No, it doesn't.
Although some of these kids lately, man, these young guys doing some stuff,
I
I'm like, oh,
know.
you've been shooting for less than a year and you're doing like incredible stuff. So,
uh,
yeah. Incredible to see.
yep.
All right. Moving right along.
Oh, another low key. That's nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the natural, just undisturbed bird doing its thing in its natural habitat. It's
Yeah.
just a really nice behavior portrait.
It is.
Nice,
Yep.
nice coloration. Yeah, I like the dramatic light.
Yeah, and oh, and you know what? Before I forget, Tobias actually sent me a photo. He said when he shared it on Instagram here, he just it kind of clipped because the photo was so wide, the tail. So he did send me another version where he had the entire tail in there. So
Oh,
he wanted to make
nice.
sure that was clearly known. He's like, I didn't clip
Yep.
it.
Ah, right on.
uh,
Yeah, that's good. I
yeah.
noticed that, so that's cool that he sent that.
Yep. Yeah. But you know what's I really love the as you mentioned the color scheme, right? Just the berries mashing the bird is
Yep.
great. There's such a great sense of anticipation in this with the bird's beak open, the way it's kind of leaning out and forward towards the next
Yeah.
berries. So there's almost a sense of motion in this photo. Meanwhile, it's tack sharp. There's nothing blurred. It's completely frozen moment in time. But to me, there's like a sense of motion in this photo,
Yep.
which I think is really powerful. And then that overhead lighting, but it's real soft overhead lighting.
Yeah.
It gives shape to everything, shape to the berries, so we can see they're round. They're not just kind of flat lit from the front, where everything just kind of flattens out. And incredible shape and texture on the bird itself. And then I love how there's just enough light, like you can see the brow of the bird, but then the catch light is in there on the eye, so that all worked out perfectly. And yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really interesting lighting setup with how overhead that light is coming.
Yeah, it's really nicely done. I like the story this tells is really cool because I like that the bird's on the branch where there's like no berries. He's like
Yeah.
devoured everything there. He's like, all right, what's next?
Next.
So it's like going for the next one. And the story, like it matches that there's no berries on the branch that he's on, and it's all over his bill.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
his bill's a mess, and he's like,
Yep.
oh, need more.
Yep. Yep.
He's
A,
totally going for it.
a kid just like shoving his face full of
Yeah.
food. Yeah, totally. No, that's a
Photo.
great point about the berries there. I didn't even catch on to that. I'm glad you mentioned that. That does really add to the story. This is the kind of thing I love doing this show is, I get to hear, another photographer's perspective. So it adds stuff to it, but just like, those are things that I think that I can see this photo, and I saw it on Instagram and I'm like, wow, amazing, instantly like it. And then, I don't remember if I left a comment or not, but even if I did, I probably just didn't spend even half the amount of time you and I just spent looking at this photo and talking about it. And so
Yeah.
those little details, I think, just they go by the wayside so easily for so many of us looking through social media every day. And I love doing this show that it slows us down and it gives us an opportunity to kind of really appreciate all those little subtle things that go into making a great photo. So thanks for pointing that
Yeah.
out, man.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like Instagram, as popular as it is just so, I don't know, maybe it takes away from, the time that we put into doing photos because it's a scroll by and sometimes somebody
Yeah.
will hit that like or somebody, will make a comment like, oh man, awesome shot. And
Yeah.
I'm totally guilty of that
Same here.
myself. But like, to really take the time and be like, oh man, I like this and this and this, really nicely done or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and it makes a big difference to the photographer when a thoughtful comment is left. I know, anytime I'm scrolling through the comments on any of my photos, and then all of a sudden I see something that's more than just 5 words, and then maybe it mentions something in the photo that they like, like that, to me that just means so much. It's a big
Yeah.
difference that somebody took, it indicates to me somebody took a little bit of time to appreciate the work that I put, making that photo. And just like yourself, I'm totally guilty of not doing that enough, but I think if we all can just start doing it a little bit more, even once a day, just pick one photo to leave a thoughtful comment on,
Yeah.
it goes a long way. So,
Yep. That's a good point.
yeah. Oh man. Dude, the lighting, this is like the lighting episode here. Just incredible light
Yeah.
on every one of these we've been picking today.
And breath,
Yeah,
more
multiple
breath.
times with that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The
one thing about this photo that similar to the small bird in the water, the low key that we
Yeah.
were looking at. Uh, I like how the lit up grasses uh, kind of form that arrow
Mm,
coming to the bison.
nice. Yeah,
You know,
right there.
that right there, yeah.
Yep.
It's a nice, like, what a cool composition to include that in it. Or maybe it was an accident. Sometimes those happen, but it's just really nicely done. I love the breath, of course.
Yeah.
Um, he actually had another bison that I was really loving, and I was kind of going back and forth, like which one to pick.
Hmm.
And then I settled on this one because I could see the other one was much more of a silhouette with really red rim lighting and
Okay.
not a lot of detail on the bison. But I really like the subtle details. You can see the eye, you can
Yeah.
see a bit more detail in the animal, and I like the color palette. I like the kind of
Yeah.
muted browns because they make the rim lighting and they make the grasses really pop out a lot more.
It really does. Yeah. I mean, in essence, this is a monotone image.
Mhm.
There's not much color going on here, but it's all one color and it's done well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else interesting. The more I look at it is that rim lighting, especially with the way it hits that kind of ridge line back there and puts a glow and a shape on it. It's almost now emulated again on the bison. It's almost as if the bison is like another version of another ridge back there, that
Hmm.
just kind of completes the shape of the hills and the valleys and peaks in that particular scene there. And then I love how the bottom of the bison's neck there is like longer fur that's glowing more, and it
Yeah.
just so happens to be hanging over the taller grass that's glowing more. So it's like a mirror
Yep.
image of that texture right there. So like the textures match up so nicely right there. And I don't know that I would have picked out the pointing arrow as well, but that's, now that you pointed out, I can't miss it. And yeah, it just brings you right into the focus of the eye and everything here. And this is a great example, I think, of, I'm going to guess here. I don't really know, but I'm going to guess the straight exposure out of the camera probably didn't have quite as much detail on the head here, just knowing how most cameras handle raw files and stuff like that, and this kind of lighting. And so, I'm guessing the photographer did a little bit of kind of lightening and dodging just to show the amount of detail here, but it's done
Yep.
so perfectly, because I see so often that it's so easy, and I've done it myself, to go too far. And
Yep.
then it doesn't look natural anymore, because if you were to think about looking at that scene with your eye, a lot of the times, if there's too much light and detail here, it's like it just doesn't jive with the lighting, the fact that the sun's coming directly from behind. Like, all the detail that we see here should be more muted the way it is here, and I think it's just a perfect ratio of detail on the shadow side to the rim light and the direction of the light.
Yeah. Totally agree. Really
Yeah,
well done.
yeah, it definitely is. All right, got another one for you.
Hey, Michael Moreau.
Yeah,
Yep. He's a cool guy. Good photographer. I
yeah,
love
definitely.
the he nailed the composition on this one.
Yeah,
Um, but really like the mood. You've got those colorful mountains in the background. This guy's just chilling out. Like, I know like pretty much exactly where this is.
that's so
Uh,
awesome.
uh, yeah, this is a really nice photo. I love the whole scene. He
That's what it is. It's the scene.
yeah, you know, you can tell that he was not wide open here. Like he stopped
Yep.
down to get some nice depth of field. And this is an example of when you would really want to stop down more
Yeah.
and get some more of that detail in the background and some of those mountains and the snow covering it. And then, you know, just those dark clouds to give it, you know, kind of a heavier mood there really
Totally.
frames it really nicely.
Yeah, and just the fact that like knowing focal lengths and what's in the scene here, it's like he was pretty darn close to this thing. It was a wider lens, you know what I mean? Like he's
Yep.
up in that thing's grill, which is just impressive in and of itself to kind of get that close. The way this antler is like almost starting to kind of come over top of the lens, because of the wider focal length there that was used is, yeah, it's pretty neat to just see such an intimate shot of the moose, and it's so relaxed. You can tell it doesn't look like it's being disturbed or, getting
Yeah.
ready to move or anything. It just looks like it's relaxed and just hanging out there and resting and just some unbelievable habitat.
Those moose up there are so accommodated or used to people
Yeah.
being around. You know, I mean, you can have like 5 or 6 photographers surrounding a bull moose when he's laying down, and he just won't even bat an eye. He's just
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually, he'll wander off. He'll be like, okay, I'm tired of you guys, and
Sure.
head off through the woods. But this is the same place that we went to shoot ground squirrels.
It is. Okay. All right. I
Uh,
was wondering. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
I
Yeah.
recognized the bull.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice. That's so cool, man. Yeah, that's really neat. I also love the one last thing I want to mention on this one that I think really helps it, the color palette on this. The color
Yeah.
of
Yep.
these foreground brush here, kind of matching the underside of the antler there, is just like a nice tie-in. And then, like you said, just the somewhat colorful mountains back there with those kind of purpley almost tones
Yeah.
in them. Yeah, it,
Purple and like soft yellow and green,
exactly.
like that. There's so much color in this photo.
Yeah, yeah, it works really well. All right. Sticking with wide
Mhm.
angle. Look at this, man. What's fun? I did not actually sequence or set these up at all, but it's working out quite nicely.
Yeah.
I probably should actually put more thought into like which photos are showing when, but hey, I'm lacking time all the time. So,
This one
uh,
worked out well.
yeah, um,
Yep.
man,
So
and
Brian,
yeah, just incredible wide
what
angle
a
scene.
yep. I love the just the whole scene. I mean, this gannet colony, I've never seen one of these birds, but this photo just really um, captivates you. It puts you there.
Yeah,
And you've got some motion going on with the tips of the wings are blurred slightly, which I always love.
yeah, me too.
Um, I'd rather have a little bit blurry wings because of the hint of action rather than
Exactly.
like fully stopped. Um, but in this case, it's really nice to have that blur, and you've got the birds in the background, but all the focus goes to that one bird. And
Yeah, no doubt.
it looks like maybe he in post kind of lit up the head a little bit more,
I was wondering
which
that, or
totally
if I was
works.
wondering if it was Phil Flash
It
because it
might
was
have been
wide
Phil
angle.
Flash.
It could have been
Yeah.
either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Either way, it works. It's not overly done. It just brings some
No.
of that focus right to the bird's head.
Yeah, totally. I was just kind of scrolling through the hashtags to see if there was anything,
Yeah.
that gave
Great
away
color palette on this
that.
too. I really love the colors that are in this photo. Just those kind of warm, soft tones are just really nice.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, like this is something that you cannot plan to get the placement properly because it's just a colony of so many birds. But, the wings outstretched like this one angling up to kind of anchor in this corner, and then the
Yep.
bird angling up that way off of like the dome that it was its nest that it probably just took off from. And then having these birds just placed just almost perfectly around it. So there's space for the head there, nothing intersecting, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
for that to work out like that is you know, just awesome,
Yeah.
obviously he had to put himself in the right place, and he's got the composition to include the whole rest of the colony and the rocks in here and everything like that. But to have the additional birds to kind of frame this main subject is just a bonus on top of it that kind of takes it to the next level.
Yeah. And it's fun to kind of look around and see what else is going on, see what some of the other birds are doing, some with
Yep.
their heads raised. And So it's a fun story to just look at this photo and see what else is going on here rather than, the obvious focus of it. But,
Yeah.
it's fun when a photo captures you and kind of draws you into one thing, but then you can continue looking at it
Yes.
and get so much other stuff out of it, after a while of just looking at it and taking it in.
There's more to it. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And then the last thing that it makes me do is want to just kind of cover so I don't get crapped on.
Totally. Watch out below.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Last photo.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is a great example of a common bird, like a backyard bird, done in a really creative, different way, to in a compelling way.
Yeah.
Because so many people, you get these backyard birds that come to your feeder, and it's like, how can you do something different with them?
Sure.
Like that's sometimes when like, uh, sometimes the birds that come to your feeder is like the best photo opportunity you're going to get that day. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And so to like take it another level and be like, I'm going to do something mind blowing with it is like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. That just the lighting on that and
Jeez.
the focus being perfectly on the center of the bird, on the head and the middle of the tail. And then again, right. So in this case, I think it's actually just depth of field that the tips of the wings are out of focus and a little softer, but it has the
Yeah.
same effect as a little bit of a slower shutter speed with the motion blur, right? It still just gives that
Right.
sense of motion because they're not quite as sharp as the bird in the middle of the wings. Um, and I mean, does it get any better wing position, tail position? Like it's flared so
Oh
perfectly.
man.
Yeah. And then
So good.
yeah, and the exposure perfect, right? The light coming through those wingtips, it's bright, it's almost pure white, but it's not blown out. There's still detail in those wingtips
I
everywhere.
was
So
noticing.
yeah, just so well done, and a great use of space. Lighter on the top left, kind of heading to darker. Like there's a nice soft gradient in the background of that photo that gives some light direction, which kind of indicates where that sun is coming from, or flash, or whatever was
Yeah.
used in this
The light
circumstance.
source there.
Oh, he does say sunset there, and the last photo taken in 2020. Well, that's a way to wrap up the
That's
year,
yeah.
huh?
No doubt. Yeah. I was noticing the, lighter in the top left corner to darker, that kind of soft, warm gradient that he's got going on. And that's really nice. And I
Yeah,
love the rim lighting around the head, which, it's like the wings are the wings and the tail are so, uh, almost overpowering,
yeah,
but at the same time, he's got that nice bit of rim lighting around the head, which kind of, brings it back around. So
yeah.
overall, man, this is just what a photo.
Yeah, I would totally say I agree with you. I think the wings and the tail are to me, they're the main subject of the photo.
Yeah.
And then secondarily is the bird as a whole and its head and that lighting on it. You know what I mean? Which
Yep.
is really neat. That's pretty cool to be able to make a photo of the bird. The main subject of it not be just like the focus of the bird's head or something like that. Not
Yeah.
easily done. So
No, this has got to be like, I can't imagine taking this photo. That'd be so, so
yeah.
hard. I mean, the nail focus in low light like this,
And backlit.
geez,
Yeah. Yeah.
backlit.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's tough enough as it is, but
Yep.
whew,
Yeah. Totally. So yeah,
you got
it's a killer one.
skills.
Yeah, man. All right. We did it, Jamin. Nicely done. That was a
Wow.
great one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Excellent.
Yeah, and
So
it's so hard to pick sometimes. Like you go through so many photos, you're like, oh, originally like I had like 10 or 12 or something photos. I'm like, how am I gonna whittle this down? Like I kept going through and saving them, be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. And finally,
yeah,
like I just was like, you know what? I just need to pick five and be done and like go with this because I'm gonna run out of time here.
they're all going to
But
work. Yeah.
yeah, so many cool ones. There was several photographers who had like several that I was like, oh, which one?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's a ton of great stuff out there. That is for sure. So yeah.
yeah,
Dude, thank you so much, man. That was a great one. I really enjoyed it.
yeah. Thank you. Me too. It was fun.
Yeah. All right, everybody, make sure you check out Jamin's photography as well as all the other photographers in this episode. The links to each photo is in the caption here or right on my website at rayhennessy.com. And thank you so much. Next Saturday, we'll have another one of these.